Hi everybody, Beth here from Access Paranormal for the first I want to know here since moving to the UK, which is all about paranormal research into possible paranormal phenomena, history, all of it, and why it's not popular and also why it should be, and something that it should be encouraged when it comes to paranormal investigators all around the world. Hope everyone's having an amazing time. Like I said, obviously use the comment section down below, also on YouTube when it gets posted to YouTube, as well as obviously here on Facebook as well. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, so much information. And again, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think the stumbling blocks are with this, and also your reasons as to why you think it's something that people should do, but also maybe ideas maybe why you don't think it's something that someone should do, or maybe more of an idea of maybe why people don't. So by all means, it's a discussion thing. That's what I want to know is all about. I want to know what is it with research? What is it with the fact that not a lot of investigators really do it, and not a lot of them feel compelled to, but why there are so many awesome benefits from doing research within the paranormal as well. So I will get started. It's good to see everybody turning up. Thank you. All right. So obviously the first thing being, we'll look at it from two aspects. Why people don't do it, why people feel that they can't do it, and also the benefits of actually researching within the paranormal field. And paranormal, as I said, we all know it can go into 10 different types of sort of angles. It can be not just about haunting cases, it can be about ufology cases and things like that. So, but the first thing I would want to mention about reasons why people probably feel that they can't actually do this, or don't want to, which is also another thing as well. It may not necessarily be can't, is that not many people are in it for the intention of learning and knowledge. So a lot of people may actually just want to experience something. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's just a different reason why people may actually want to do this. So I often think that that's a strong possibility when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's a lot of people will go into it. Like for me, when I first started, I wanted just to have the experience. I just wanted to have the experience, go in there. I wanted to see if I could sense something, feel something. I wanted to see if I could, understand, if something phenomenal was to happen in front of me, how was I going to feel about it? Was it something, other people were going to be able to see, sense, or feel? So I just wanted to, that's how I felt when I first started. So I can understand, that's exciting. Researching is not exciting. So there's that as part of it. So I can understand. Often it's people's intent when they first get into the paranormal, whether or not it's something that they actually want to do. So, a lot of people want the experience of possible paranormal phenomena. Researching just seems really, really boring. Which leads me to my next point is the way that research is at the moment in the current format is very dry. It's a dry style of information. And so say for instance this is a beautiful journal of from the SPR, and just a paragraph. So you've started investigating 6 months ago, and like someone says, hey, do some research, have a read of some of these research papers. Okay, cool, no worries. All right. So for the sake of completeness, a psychological review of hunters might also encompass the concept of poltergeist agents, living individuals around whom anomalous and localized physical and psychological events tend to occur. Now, if I had read that 6 months into investigating, I would have said, thank you very much, put it down and bolted out the door. Nothing wrong with it. I love this now. Actually, of course, I read it and I'm into it. But just starting out, that would throw me off. I'm not, as like I've said before, I'm quite open about the fact that I don't have a university background in any way, shape or form. And something like that would just be like, I'm sure that information's great, but it just goes way over my head. It's written in an academic format, which is fine because it's a research paper. It is meant to do. And there's certain rules and ways in which research papers are meant to be written. So something like that can be quite intimidating, definitely. And as I said, not from the understanding perspective, but just going through it and understanding and breathing in the concepts of it. So from something like that, if that's the only way that research is being presented, then I can understand why some people would shy away from it. Like, that to me is not sexy. So there's that as well. Also, it's also finding the time to research. So it's, we make our time, we do this because we love it. We don't get paid to do it. So it is often our own personal time away from family and friends and love job stuff, working and what sort of thing. We have to then find the time to go. And obviously a lot of it, the priority is actually going to going and attending paranormal investigations or being involved in investigations, because that's where you really do accelerate your learning. But then also finding the time to actually go and research afterwards, and that can also be a bit of a hindrance too, because it's like, well, I've spent most of my weekend prep, because it's just not just turning up for sometimes for paranormal investigations where we're there to learn, we're there to to help somebody, to be there, to run an event, and that takes preparation beforehand and also even just a little bit afterwards as well, so the roundup side of it. Then to actually have time after or in between to actually research, read or find or look. It's like, I ain't got the time. I've only just literally got enough time for this. So from that perspective, that's another reason as to why I think a lot of people may find that they won't look at doing research, is because they just don't have the time to do it. Also, it's it's not exciting to sit there and read, something as beautiful as this, although very, very important as it is. You could read about the research of poltergeists, but you may not actually, it may be more exciting to actually go be in a location where poltergeist activity has been reported, like go into a building that's got poltergeist activity, or read this. I don't know. So you can understand where the drive or the want, like what's more exciting. Well, yeah. So there's also a bit of that as well. Well, I know what I would rather be doing in comparison to that if I had the choice as well. So there's that too. Also, paranormal TV shows don't promote research as a thing. So it's kind of, it is a lot heavily focused on getting field experience or going out or asking out or trying to communicate with the other side. But no one really actually, as far as shows go, actually sort of focus on the fact that there's this other part of investigating that's also equally as important, which is research, which is actually going through and finding previous cases of stuff like that. Or previous experiences that people have had, or any experiments that people have. We'll talk a bit more about that fairly soon. So good to see. Oh, thank you, everyone. So there's that as well. It's been, there's that angle with it too. So paranormal TV shows just don't generally, research is not sexy according to A&E and Travel Channel and all the other different sort of networks. When they produce their programs when it comes to the paranormal and paranormal investigating at the moment. And also, like I said before, it's having the time. It's having the time to be able to sit back and actually say, look, you've got to make time to research. You've got to make time to go and look for the facts, look for previous cases, which then leads me on to the second part of this. So we've looked at some ideas there. Again, keep using the comment section down below. Tell me why you think people don't. Is it, some of the comments or the points that I've made? Are there other things that you want to add as well? Or you don't agree at all? That is fine too. So use the comment section down below why you think people just don't do any sort of research. Again, do they know it's even there? Do they know that there is actually all this information out there that you can actually go and learn from? Now, of course, there's the other side of the coin, I guess you could say, with this particular question, which is, okay, so why people don't, as investigators, research, but then why they should. There are actually some benefits on to why they should. The one is, the biggest one is knowing your history. Hello. Oh, actually. So knowing your history, you've got to, it's actually really quite beneficial to know who's done that and who's been there before. So who's actually been out there in particular locations and has actually found, written about their experience, written about or created their or tried to create their own experiments where they've actually said, okay, somebody's sensing something from what's a discarnate of some sort, so I'm going to actually set up some experiments with this and see what's going on with that. Like, it's knowing the history of it. Find out what's happened before what you're doing now is what you're doing now, and it actually is really quite beneficial. And again, as I said, it may not seem as sexy as actually getting out there and having the field experience, but it is really important to find out and know the forefathers of this field. There are people that have been doing it for much longer than you and I put together, although sometimes it feels like it's longer, especially if you've done an overnighter. But, you still, at the end of the day, it's really important to know who these people are, and also what they brought to the table, what they brought forward that actually helped change the field as well. Hello. So there's that too. It's also finding out what experiments they did too. So you think, well, what the hell's that got to do with me going out and going, hello, tap twice for yes and once for no? What's that got to do with knowing, experiments out, from someone who's done a research paper on? Well, it has a lot to do with it, because there are people that who have created experiments to help understand how our universe works and how people work in those environments, how there's the possibility of the conscious mind moving past the physical form. So having that knowledge is going to help, I think, a lot. It actually does help you be a better investigator of what you're learning and what you're doing when you're in those practical situations as well. So for an example, say for instance, recently, over the last couple of years in Australia, people started to use the Ganzfeld experiment. That was something that was created by people many years ago beforehand. So people actually now use that as a possible way to, look at sort of trying to communicate with the other side, if there is another side. So, you don't actually have to reinvent the wheel if you actually know that the wheel's already rolling and someone's actually written some information on that rolling wheel. It's really beneficial in that way. Like sometimes you can have an experience while on a paranormal investigation and, go and Google afterwards to see if there's something that's been written about you having the same kind or style of experience. Guaranteed there probably is. It will be, as I said, written as much as it would be in this particular format. But at the same time, I really encourage people to actually read quite a bit about it. So by all means, go and do that as well. So again, it's using the information that people have had with successes that they feel of contacting the other side and actually saying, hey, that's actually already been done before, or I can get an idea from that to actually use for our next paranormal investigation as well. Also, it helps you, I think, with knowing research and doing that as part of being a paranormal investigator. Very much about helps balance you. I think a lot of, obviously, research papers are written for peer review as well. So, and that's written for people to make a comment on, which is very, very different to what social media is at the moment when it comes to paranormal investigating. So, and obviously when I say comment on, it's not saying use, that was crap, or that was, you've got to back up your argument, right? But it's written in a way that people are able to, review it and give comment on it. So, when you actually go and research this information, I think it helps us be a little bit more balanced, a little bit more critically minded of it as well. Hi, Benjamin, good to see you. So there's that aspect too. I think it balances us. I think it's a really good way to be able to see what someone has done and see how they're presenting it, because it has to be in a very balanced and factual, evidential way for it to be in a research paper. And that's, I think, how we need to look at how we do our investigations from a paranormal investigator side as much as we can. And it can be a difficult dance, but it's as much as we can. There's that as well. Also, there's also things that people start researching, say for instance, okay, so I can sit there and say to the high heavens, yeah, go research. It's going to help you in investigating. It's going to help you recreate experiments or continue to create experiments that someone else has already done. Like I said, with Ganzfeld, a lot of people in Australia do that now as part of paranormal events even, because it really is, sensory deprivation as well. You're blocking out senses, and what actually starts to heighten will heighten as we think. But so, where would you start with wanting to learn? So say, for instance, okay, Beth, you're saying it's a great idea. Well, where do I go from here? Again, You've heard me talk about it, and there are organisations that I'm a part of here called the Society of Psychical Research. I know America has the American Society of Psychical Research. In Australia, we've got the Australian Institute of Psychical Research, or APA, as it's known as well. There's the Rhine Institute in America too. There's the Edinburgh University as well here. There's lots of little different places. So start with those originally, because they've got some really good websites. ASAP's got a great one, ASSAP, ASAP. There are numerous parapsychology journals. Yeah, these papers are published too, which accept research paper. Exactly, that's exactly it, absolutely. I'm just going to do that. Reviews, research notes, and correspondence too. Exactly. So it's not just your academic research. There's other bits and pieces of that as well. So that's a really good note there, Ashley. Thank you. So again, go and check out those places. ASAP's a great starting point. They really have got it's they call it layman terms. I hate that because it just sounds like that suddenly you kind of just like what they call it, muggles or something like that with Harry Potter. Like suddenly you're just kind of like dumbed down a bit, but it's not that at all. It's more layman terms in the sense of it's you and I talking. It's not using a lot of academic terminology, but the information is still so very relevant and very there. So again, I think that's a great place to start. And of course, they will obviously reference and or link to other things, other information within their websites as well. Of course, they have to. But there are some great organisations to start with. I do say to start with those. I know there's lots of online courses. It's a big thing of mine where I think you have to be very clear, research yourself, excuse the pun, of what online courses you want to look at doing first. Find out who is running it first before you invest in anything. It's fine to pay to actually access someone's knowledge, but really find out how much they actually do know, because a lot of people can make up a lot of stuff on the internet and say, I know this, I know that, and don't have the backing, and you don't want to waste your money on someone's educational sort of content, which is all more about opinion than it is actually about understanding and knowledge acquired. Oh yes, there's the Cloister Rhine as well. Yes, of course. Psychological Association, yeah, SPR, yeah. There are so many great organisations to get some really good research, and a lot of it's actually free. Or if you become a member, I mean, it's nothing really when it comes to. I mean, I think it's £60 for SPR. It's equivalent in Australia is about 120 for the year. You have access to their library. Okay, you have access to their online libraries as well. Ghost Club, I think, can't remember the exact price of that as well. They've got newsletters too. They're probably a little on the old side at the moment, but I know they're going to probably look at refreshing that very soon. Again, and as I said, Australian APA as well, all that kind of stuff. And of course, in America too, you've got Rhine and everything like that. I would love to be part of the Rhine Institute, but there's no point because I can't go to their evening nights. So again, really, really good factual academic stuff. And that's the other thing I found has been an eye-opening experience since being here, is when I've gone to SPR events, and there was the first discussion one I went to earlier this week, and in the break, a couple of people came over and we were chatting, because I was able to add my thoughts and ideas in some of the discussion, because it's a really lovely, informal, very structured but really good chat session. And it was like, oh, it's good to see younger people here interested in this kind of stuff. And that's what needs to happen, because these beautiful people who are just wonderfully aged and have this fabulous knowledge base won't be here forever. And we need to, as investigators, appreciate the fact that knowledge is there at the moment, and B, tap into it as much as we can before these people do end up starting to become the paranormal. So there needs to be a branch, I guess you could say, of this knowledge base that is there at the moment. For this younger generation. I say younger, but it's younger-ish. A generation or two below these beautiful people, where this information shouldn't be suddenly just disappear. So, yeah, I love SPR. Yeah, SPR discussions are the best, man. So, and it's so welcoming too. Like, I never felt like I was, not having academic background, I never once felt out of place. I never once felt judged. I never once felt like my opinion didn't matter. There was this beautiful level of respect the whole time. And like I said, there was this wonderful vibrancy and encouragement of the fact that I was what was considered a younger person. I still think that's amazing. Younger person there, wanting to be there, and the fact that they are wanting to encourage more people who are of this generation and younger, of course, as well, to come along to these kinds of things. Of course, it's a little bit different if you can't get to London, if you're not in the UK or anything. But I know that the organisations I have spoken about previously do actually have information nights. They will have online courses. So I highly recommend that you go and check them out as well. The big thing about research and the big thing about it being a plus is that there is so much benefit to know what's happened before to help us with what we're moving forward with. Oh, great topic. Oh, I know, Kat, you are like the researcher of everything, man. Good to see you, lovely lady. Yes, don't forget that. Science Encyclopedia online too. Yeah, great resource for all things paranormal and written for those researching the field too. Thank you so much, Ashley. That's another one too, guys. The Science Encyclopedia is another source of information to be able to look at with research as well. Cheers for that, mate. Thank you. But yeah, it's so beneficial. In order for us to go forward, we need to look back as well and see what's happened. And like I said, there's some great stuff. Like there's things that people have tried, like ITC, intertransdimensional communication. I always have problems bloody pronouncing that word. There's that, and so going back and seeing what people did. People say, I got the Frank's box out, or I got the ghost box out. Well, do you know why it's called that? Do you know what's happened in order for that? Something that you know how you actually, or why you're using that particular piece of equipment? Like why is it called that? Hang on a second, let's go back. There was a guy called Frank, and he did this, and he created that, and he found that I think it was this gentleman found bird song. He was trying to record birds, and he was getting voices, and then he tried and created and all sorts of different stuff. So, finding the history of that. Why do we use EMF detectors? Isn't it, half the time people go, I just use it because it's meant to detect ghosts or possibility of an entity. Okay, well, where's that come from? Start asking yourself those questions. Why? Why am I using this? Why have I got a voice recorder in my handbag every time I go out at night? Not that I'm recording anybody or conversations, but, why, just in case I might be somewhere, I'm like, maybe I'll find something, maybe I won't. I don't carry my millimeter though, that's going a bit too hardcore. But at the end of the day, like why am I using this? That's the first thing. We need to start asking why, and then you start to find your answers from your research from that. Well, that's because of this person had started it. EMF detectors, it's on the thought of bio EMF, and that's a whole other talk, which I think I've brushed on a few times in the past. Energy doesn't die, it changes form, it's the law of thermodynamics, blah blah blah. But I know that because I got curious. I'm like, I want to know what this is, and that's really also another good way to start researching. Look at what you're doing and find out why you're doing it, and question it as well. As if we're going to sit there and throw the word science out every time when it comes to paranormal or paranormal investigating, act like a scientist. Go out there and say, okay, I'm going to question this. I'm going to see if there's validity with this. Why am I using this? Go out and question and do it from a respectful place, of course, but go and find out why you're doing this kind of stuff. It's very important. Lexi sign. Yep. It's a great source of research. Lexi, and I'll actually spell this out for everybody too. LEXSCIEN. Lexicen. Is a great resource as well. Thanks for that, Kat. Good, excellent, wonderful. That's another one as well. That's one I've not heard of, so I'm actually really glad, because that means I can find something new. Oh, fabulous. It's all about learning. So it is so beneficial, and as again, research isn't a sexy subject. It is what we say in Australia is boring as batshit sometimes, but it is so necessary. And sometimes, like with other things in life, taking the time out to just go, okay, so I've got half an hour before this or an hour before that, before I need to do this or whatever, I'm going to find research on ITC, or actually I'm going to find research on a particular seance that was done many years ago. Or actually I had an experience where I had poltergeist activity, but it was with only plastic things moving around, not natural elements moving around. I wonder if there's a connection with that. I wonder if someone's done a research paper or done some study on that particular thing. Start to question your own experiences, start to question why you are doing what you are doing, and that's where you'll find your path when you start your research journey. It's never boring, I know. Oh, yes, and basically just books. Yes, books are fabulous. There is so much more to be considered than just running around in the dark, waving things that flash and beep. Absolutely, 100% Cat. So true. It's exciting and it's fun. Like I said in the beginning, it's about intention. It's about why you're doing this. And I think that's where the research wheels of a car fall off, because not everybody wants to be a part of it. Because their intent isn't the same. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Absolutely not. Some people just want to go out and experience something freaking brilliant. But some people, after a while, and as I said, that was me, want to kind of, okay, what's the next step? I want to find out more. This is fascinating stuff. This is going to help me understand if there's a possibility of an afterlife, what might actually be going on the other side. You get to access part of your SPR membership. Reduced cost, I know. There's also a wealth of info as it holds the past journals from numerous resources, including the SPR and their magazines. Ah, that's Lexi Sen. Thank you. Excellent. So I do know of it, but I don't know of it. Thank you. Learning online, literally live as we speak. Thanks for that, Ashley. So yeah, there you go. So if you are a member of SPR and you are in another part of the world, you will still get a lot of benefit from being a member, because there is so much information online that they provide as part of that membership. It is worth that alone. Like I said, my live videos, I can only give so much away when I go to these events, but again, it's definitely something that is totally worth attending as well. That's great. Excellent. Thank you. But yeah, go and start your journey. Start asking why. Start looking at the phenomena you've experienced. Start looking at the information when it comes to certain gadgets or anything like that. Go, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I using that? Why am I asking for 2 knocks, 3 knocks? That will be your beginning. Then go and have a look at these fabulous institutions that I've talked about, and other people that I've raised as well, which is, thank you very much, guys. Those are great starting places too. But then you do have to make the time. With Kat, bless her, I know, she travels a fair distance to and from work, so she's got that. She's like, okay, I'm going to use that as a possibility to do my reading. So she will read in that time period of her day to be able to catch up in to and from work. So it's finding bits and pieces where you can slot that in, because we do, we're human, we've got to pay bills and we have family lives. So there's that as well. Plus the Journal of Psychology, journals rock as well. Lexicon rocks. Lexi said, I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong. People are like, that's not how you say it. So I'm just going to make it up. So, but I'm going to go and check that out actually, because I think I've got to try and get a password and that from Peter, who runs the office at SPR, because my logins didn't work before. I think I'm on 2 different accounts. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, get stuck into it. There are reasons why people don't do research, and that's often their intent. There's lots of, the content itself can be really off-putting. It's very, very wordy. There are times I'm like, oh, like I said, it's just like eating a lemon. Like, oh, Jesus, this is painful, but I'm going to read it anyway. And there are times I'm like, wow, this actually can be fascinating. So it's good, and it's relevant, and it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. Rashi's got the problem is that many of these days want the same experience as the TV shows portray. Yes. Their reactive investigation experience. I could not put that in a better term. That's a fabulous term. Thank you so much. So it's a reactive investigation experience. However, true research into this field requires us to delve deeper, to understand more too. Absolutely. It's not for everyone, I know, but can change your perspective of the paranormal entirely. Absolutely. That's what's happened to me in the past as well. Particularly when I start to go, why am I doing this? Or how come? So absolutely, it's a reactive paranormal experience. Traditional paranormal investigating is not asking out the spirit. It's not actually going, I want to communicate with you. I want to see if there's something here. Traditional investigating is not that. It's actually sitting and observing an environment and actually making notes of what's happening and seeing if anything happens. Actually not trying to instigate with anything. And that I've learned over research, is researching with my own as well. It sure did for me, yeah. Coining the term copyright. Copyright, that's right, Ashley. Ashley's copyrighted that term. Fabulous. So again, it's there are different reasons why people want to research or don't want to research at all in any way, shape or form. And that's fine. That's cool. There is a market for people who want to go and do that, and there are events, and I go along to those events, and hell, I actually even help run them. So I know what that's all about. I know what it's like to feel like somebody who wants to experience something possibly of the afterlife. But there's a growing group of people that are actually saying, hey, we want to learn more of. There's got to be more to this. I'm fascinated, and the next step is research. And researching is really, really awesome. Really good meaty stuff. And like you said, as you can tell, I'm passionate about it. To say the least, I meant that. Yeah, observer is proper investigation rather than running around to the dark. Absolutely, it's gotten the message of actual proper old style investigating has changed considerably because of TV programs. Now, I'll mention that and just go, it's because of those shows. But because of those shows, I wouldn't be active as I am now. It was because living here 10 years ago, watching Most Haunted, got me involved. And then, of course, I wanted to know more and accelerate my learning with that too. So, that's why I will mention those shows, but I won't bag them out because that's helped give me an avenue in the sense of most of us, most of the time, have always been interested in the paranormal. Me included, clearly, but I didn't realize I could be active in it. And there was an active way to do it. I read so many ghost stories and books as a kid, and thought I'd love to be able to experience that. Didn't think there was a way you could do it in an environment that was set up for that. And that's what those shows showed me to. And of course, initially I would investigate in the same style as those shows as well. So that's what I mean. I come from, I'm not going to sit there and poo-poo it all the time. I was there too myself. I understand the need to want to experience, but then I also became passionate about the fact that there was just so much more to it than just that as well. Yeah, still love ghost hunting experience. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. It's the same with me, Ashley. And I know with Kat as well. You kind of don't mind having one of those. Sometimes it's nice to have a night off. Sometimes it's nice to sit there and see if something happens or ask out if something is there and chill out. It's good to be serious and interested and do, learn and research. But it's actually still okay just to chill and just go, I'm just going to enjoy tonight. And I have many nights like that. I had wonderful friends that I was able to do that with in Australia, and it was so much fun. It was often when it was a paid event and everyone had left and we had maybe an hour or two at the venue before we would pack up, and that was the best fun. I had stomach cramps from laughing. It was just, and that's because we're in the moment, we're asking, and funny enough, we would get some really interesting experiences and interesting phenomena that would come as well. So again, it's I completely understand why people want to do that, but don't dismiss research because of the content and the way in which it's written, and the fact that there's no way to find it. Start asking questions about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that will start your journey. #blog, yeah. Check out the latest blog. Oh, transliminality is an interesting term. I was going to talk about that. You took that away. No, you didn't, actually. So yes, transliminality is a very interesting psychological term. So go and check it out. ashleynib.com, I think it is, or probably .co.uk. But just type Ashley Nib. And Nib was with a K, K-N-I-B-B. Transliminality, I think I'm probably also pronouncing that incorrectly. If I am, I just horrify the rest of the scientific community, psychologically as well. But yes, go and check that out as well. Again, that's another thing too, is I will find that sometimes I'll come across a term, I'm like, what the is that? And I'll go and look, I'm like, that's I know I've never heard of that term, but I understand it and know it because I've been around and involved. I'm so glad there's a word for what I've experienced there. So there's little things like that you'll come across as well. Again, just be curious. There's nothing wrong with curiosity. Is what's going to start you with your path when it comes to researching as well. Oh, ashleynib.com. Yeah, I got it right. So go and check it out. Shameless plug, #just saying. And again, as I said, I often share Ashley's articles and blogs and stuff like that because it is actually good meaty stuff, and it's written in a very well-researched way, but also in a way that will be something you can go, okay, I can get this, understand where he's coming from, and it's actually written really quite in a personable way too, which is wonderfully refreshing. So again, as another great resource as well, if you're actually looking at it from a person to person as opposed to person to scientific, person academic, is actually really quite factual there as well. So go and check that out too as well. But yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Oh, hang on, Kat's got something as well. Hang on a sec. Don't finish too early, Beth. I'm not a fan of the gadgets. This is Kat. So I think it's important indeed to look back in order to move forward. The SPR forebearers, early researchers, and the new blood have so much to teach us. Absolutely. Like I said, I felt that at SPR a couple of days ago. They were just so welcoming about it because, it's fresh eyes as well. It's almost like when, say for instance, completely non-paranormal right now, just for a second, the company I work for are changing the way in which they look at flexible working arrangements because they know that the younger generation coming in aren't going to fit in with this industrialized 9 to 5 or 9 to 12, sometimes going to be stupid long hours. And, if you're at work at those hours, that means you're working, like they're changing it because this new generation coming through have a very different way of working because they've dealt with working very differently at the same time. I think I think I can see SPR saying, we need to bring in this new generation or younger generation of people because if you don't, this stuff's going to die out slowly, not 100%, but, slowly. And that would just be a tragedy because who's going to carry it forward? Who's going to be able to continue this? It's really, really important. Oh, I'm so glad. Glad, Ashley. It's awesome. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And for those who are going to watch the replay or the recorded version as well, again, use the comment section down below. What are your thoughts? Have I hit on a nerve? Is there something you're like, oh girl, you missed it completely? Let me know as well. And, the unsexiness of research, but why it can actually be fascinating, and the information that's provided is so relevant for what we do. It actually really is. And I think that's the biggest miscommunication or misconception when it comes to research for paranormal investigating, is that it actually is relevant to what we do right now. Even if the TV style sort of stuff, it is actually quite relevant. So go and check it out, start asking questions, and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Do take care and hope you have a lovely, lovely evening wherever you are.